Welcome to the Standing Strong podcast with Waylon, a place where real voices are heard, real stories matter, and no one stands alone. Every struggle has a story worth telling. Here's your host, Waylon!
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. I hope each and every one of you are enjoying Standing Strong. It's my pleasure to welcome you to my podcast. And now, here is Steve Fox with the introduction of our next guest.
It is Waylon's pleasure to welcome John Henry Richardson as the 82nd guest on Standing Strong. John is an accomplished actor, filmmaker, writer, and director who has appeared in over 400 films, TV shows, plays, and commercials. A graduate of Pasadena Playhouse College and UCLA, he has earned numerous international awards for his outstanding work in film and television. He is currently co-starring in Mom Don't Do That for Netflix in Taiwan and A Grunt's Life, VET TV, in which he portrays the U.S. Navy Captain Chaps Kelly, a wonderfully colored character. Join us as we hear John's inspiring story, career journey, and the lessons he has learned along the way.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the 82nd episode of Standing Strong. Joining me right now is John. What's up, John?
Hey, how you doing, Waylon? Good to see you.
I'm doing all right. It's a good day. Can't complain.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it. I always like talking
You're welcome.
to you.
Yep, thank you. I enjoy talking to you too. You are an awesome actor, so keep doing an awesome job with what you do.
Well, bless your heart. I appreciate you saying that.
You're welcome.
I'm never really good with compliments. I usually just let them slide by. You know what I mean?
Yep, I understand.
If you're smart, you'll remain humble when you're in the arts.
Everyone, this episode's getting recording early, so you guys will be watching this episode on the 4th of July. So I just want to say happy 4th of July.
Happy Independence Day, everybody.
So, John, you have built an incredible career with more than 400 films, television shows, plays, and commercials. When you look back at the journey from a young man with a dream to successful actor, filmmaker, writer, and director you are today, what has been the biggest lesson that helped shape the person you have become?
That's an excellent question. I think being willing to change is very important. Doesn't mean you have to change your mind. Doesn't mean you have to change your goals. But ideally, you have to change your perspectives from time to time. It's really important. It's a good leveling device. You know what I mean? Because I think to be successful in any field, if you've chosen to be a creative, I'm a creative. You know, like my brother's an accountant. He's very much linear. You wouldn't want a creative accountant because that means they're cheating. You know, so he's a straight arrow, just like our mom was. She was also an accountant. Artists, they're different. They don't follow a linear thing. They kind of go with the environments and all that. And so you have to be willing to embrace change and see how you're going to be able to deal with it. And right now we're going through a lot of changes in the entertainment industry, as you know. The studio system changing. Vertical entertainment's coming now. It's just a whole different world. 5 years ago, you wouldn't even know it was going to happen.
Right.
Plus AI, that's another.
Yeah.
That's the enemy right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's good for some things, but it's not good for everything, I can say.
Well, that's a good way of putting it. I do see that there are uses for it. The thing is, and I believe this is going to continue, AI will never be able to capture that glint in the eye, that humanistic look in the eye that says, look, I'm not a machine, I'm a human being. And I can react to whatever's happening in the moment, and it can be a minuscule reaction that's deeper than any dialogue or monologue can have. AI can't touch it. Nor can they replicate the voices with the absolute humanity in them. And
Yep.
so AA can try and catch us, but they'll never catch us.
Right.
There'll be a hybrid. There'll be an AI world, and then there'll be a whole bunch of us that aren't going to go to that world. They say, I'll go to that world if I'm just playing games. But for real entertainment, I'm going to go over here because I want flesh and blood and heart and soul and real people. In the moment,
Absolutely.
real people. Imagine if you had a talk show and everybody was doing AI, who would be your guests? You couldn't. You could just show clips.
Uh-huh.
Clips of them because they could never
Yep.
sit there and answer spontaneously any questions that the audience asks.
Uh-huh.
You know, so there's a
Yeah.
limit. There's a ceiling to the whole AI thing. You know,
Absolutely. I agree.
we tend to jump to technology. We jump on technology when it comes along, and we're willing to make these changes. And many of the changes are terrific. We're all shooting digital now. We don't have to put film in our cameras. We don't have to go down to the drugstore and get the developing and processing and prints to look at anymore. Oh, honey, look at this one. You know, all that's gone.
And like with AI, when you need help and you want to talk to a person to get an effect, they want you to talk to AI now, and AI is not answering the question, and it's like frustrating.
No, they have a series of algorithms, and you have to ask. You know, they'll give you, well, if you ask these questions, we have answers. Yeah, but none of the questions I need are coming from these questions. You know.
Uh-huh. Absolutely.
I just went through that recently, in fact, and it's debilitating. You know, the loss of control is one of the worst things that I think we feel. Anybody that's ever been hacked, ever on a computer, knows that.
Right. 100%.
So AI isn't going to help that problem. It's only going to exacerbate it. You know.
Yep. Absolutely. Now, growing up, did you ever struggle with self-doubt or feeling like you weren't good enough? How did you overcome those thoughts?
I always had a healthy ego, and I was always encouraged by my family to follow my heart, and I've never had the doubts. I've had doubts about a particular job I do. Was that monologue was okay? Was that scene okay? Was that movie okay? There are always regrets, even after it's done. You say, if I could just go back into the soundstage and redo that scene right now, I'd be a happy camper. But you gotta let all that go. You know, now more than ever, you got to let it go, because now the amount of time we spend on camera is super saturated compared to what it used to be.
Yeah.
So every day in our lives as actors now, we face that same dilemma. We do self-audition videos in our living rooms because the casting directors no longer have studios, no longer bring in photographers or readers or anybody to organize it. No, here's the deadline. Do a video, send it to us.
Absolutely.
So it's very isolated. We feel very separated from the creative process when we have to do that. But technology allows it. It's not smart technology by any means. For instance, if I were making a film, I would rather have my casting director send his 100 best people instead of run a casting notice where I can get 1,000 people. Hey, but now we can get 1,000 people. Yeah, but if you go into this understanding that only 1 in 10 are going to be worthwhile, do you really want to look at 1,000? Look at the first 100. Look at the ones who have the quality. Look at the pros. Forget about new faces and all this nonsense, because they're inexperienced. Both the actors they're hunting for are inexperienced, and the person doing the hunting is inexperienced. Because more than anything else we have now is first-time filmmakers. You know the hardest part of being a first-time filmmaker? Being a second-time filmmaker. It's hard to get that second film off the ground if the first one isn't a hit. So there are an awful lot of one-time filmmakers out there. And they could do better work if they would collaborate more instead of thinking that they have a vision that no one else has. Stop it. That's ego. That's ego. Nobody wants to hear that stuff. I've got vision. Shut up. What's the story? What's the character? What's the rate? What's the schedule? I'll let you know if I want to do it. You know? Unfortunately, there are too many amateurs in the business now. Too many people trying to make independent film. I love independent. I prefer independent films over major studio films every time. Because Well, a number of reasons. But I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
linger on this answering your question here because you know me,
Yeah,
I'll
you're
go
fine.
on and on.
You're fine.
Okay. Um, yeah. Well, the thing about it is you want to be able to have choices. You want to be able to do what you want to do. You want to be able to have the interaction. It used to be when you go into a studio, the first thing they'd say is you walk into the door. Then this is John Henry Richardson for the role of Phil. Hey, John, how you doing? Any questions? And I'll say, well, I have a lot of questions, but I don't want to take up your time. I did prepare this scene, and what I'd like to do is give it to you. And if you could give me an adjustment, if you feel that I didn't make the right choice, then I'd be glad to do it a second time. That way, when I leave, I've stated my case, right?
Absolutely.
But when you're doing selfie auditions, there is no second time. You got to send them one audition. And you get rewarded in this business, not for your talents, but for your choices. Now, let's say you and I were up for the same role, right? And maybe I'm better suited for the role, but I didn't make necessarily the right choice in my self-audition video. You happen to have made the perfect choice. So therefore, you're going to get the role. But in the end, they cast the person that wasn't as right for the film. So the problem is in this space in between. And that's because they really have never learned anything about directing actors.
Yeah.
You know, when I was heading up the New York Film Academy, the acting for film department, it was really always about that, of being able to, you know, work with people that knew what they were doing. But you know, no film schools give directing students classes in how to direct actors. I did. I created a course for that at the New York Film Academy, and we used it for the master's degree and the bachelor's degree courses, and it helped them immensely when they went out there. And the casting process, particularly working with movie stars, it might be a little bit, testy. They'd know how to handle them. So understanding how to direct actors is very, very important.
Yeah, absolutely.
I recommend any filmmaking directors to take classes in that. In fact, take a couple acting classes yourself. It's a good eye opener.
Great advice. I hope it helps someone out there listening. Now, what would you say to someone who feels like their dreams are impossible because of where they come from or what they have been through in their life?
Well, one thing they need to do, they need to read more biographies and autobiographies of the stars that they look up to. And they need to understand that most of us came from the same place they're coming from.
Yep.
We were all underdogs. However, the benefit that they have is they are an unknown quantity. Nobody knows this person. It's a new face. So by the time you get that first audition or the meeting with Warner Brothers or whatever studio might want to look at your script and you're going to direct your first film, you really want to understand all that. You know, you want to understand your job really more than anything else. And there are no easy answers. I think it doesn't matter where you come from. That's what you're made of. What matters is the path that you chart for yourself and the time management that you use to reach your goals. In acting, the careers change. For instance, in the early days, all you want to do is act. I'll take any role. I'll be a bad guy. I'll be a good guy. I don't care. I just want to work. We all want to work, right? But eventually you get to the point where you say, okay, I don't want to just work. I want to craft a career. I want to craft a career. Which means I want a certain path. There are certain kinds of roles I want to do and a certain image that I want to project. And that means that if another beautiful role comes along and I can take it, but it will compromise my image, I better let it pass. That's the hardest thing to do, is to say no, right?
Yeah.
Particularly when you're new. But somewhere along the line, they're going to have to start crafting a career instead of just trying to get jobs.
Right. I agree.
If they want a future. Right?
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. That's sort of the rule behind it all, you know?
Yep. Exactly.
Are you familiar with the 5 phases of an actor?
I'm not.
Okay. Waylon Myers. Is that your press?
Yeah, that's my real name. Yep.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Okay, all right, okay. First, the first phase of an actor is, who's Waylon Myers? The first phase is, who's Waylon Myers? And the second phase is, get me Waylon Myers. And the third phase is, get me a Waylon Myers type. And the fourth phase is, get me a young Waylon Myers. And the fifth phase is, who's Waylon Myers? So, what you got to be willing to do is, as you climb up that ladder and you get to the top, you got to be willing to let it go, because it is all going to go away.
Yeah.
It's going to go away. You can work till you're 90. You can work till you're 100 if you want to. Now more than ever. Look at how many old actors there are still around.
Right. Absolutely.
That's 100. You got Pacino and De Niro in their late 80s. We're getting a lot longer lives than the guys like Clark Gable and Gary Cooper and all those guys got when they died in their 60s. You know.
Yeah.
So
Bay White. She was an amazing actress.
Yeah. And she almost made it to 100, didn't she?
Yeah.
99?
Yep. 99. Yep.
Yeah.
Age is just a number. It doesn't define what people can do in their lives.
Well, and that's also the idea is you hear actors sometimes talk about reinventing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Bryan Cranston going from Malcolm in the Middle, right,
Mm-hmm.
to Breaking Bad, right? Two different
Yep.
worlds.
Uh-huh.
But he reinvented himself to take that role, and we saw him doing something completely different. And now we can look at him as being a character actor with a great deal of range.
Yep. Absolutely.
It's all in the choices. Again, it goes back to making the right choices. You know?
Yep. 100%. Great advice.
Yeah.
Now, was there a moment in your life when someone believed in you before you believed in yourself? How did that impact your journey?
Well, that's really interesting. I had an aunt, and that she would say to me when I was 10, 12, when I knew I wanted to be an actor, because I started when I was about 8, and I knew I wanted it. And I guess I didn't realize at the time how hungry I was for attention. Because she would say to me sometimes in the middle of my performance or whatever I'm saying, and over dinner or in the living room, and she says, hey, John, don't try so hard. You've got it. So I didn't have the confidence. I had a paper thin, constitution. I could tear, break, cry, everything very easily, which was a wonderful opportunity as an actor. But as a human being, it's kind of tough, particularly if you're a young boy and you got to be, rugged and do all that stuff, that you got to do when you're a boy.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting that you get to a point where you realize, okay, check your ego at the door, and be the best possible you. You got to be the best possible you. And that means never settling for less. That way you can at least walk away from an audition or an interview or a callback or a performance on screen or on stage. You can walk away and say, I gave it my best. I did the best I can. So I have no apologies at this point. Maybe I wasn't right for it. Maybe someone else was more right for it. It's never really a question of who's better. I don't like those expressions. The best actor. Well, what does that make everybody else?
Mm-hmm.
This is not fair. It's not a fair assessment of people's talents. Everybody's different. You shouldn't be putting somebody doing Shakespeare against somebody who's doing comedy. Come on, stop it. How can you compete the two? Stop it.
Yep.
But unfortunately, in America, we're bigger, better, best.
Yep.
And we got to name things the best. You see it a lot on Facebook and on YouTube or on Instagram, where someone will put a post and they say, "Who was your favorite actor in a Western? Who was your favorite this or who was it?" And people will be chiming in, and you see so much kind of heat, and competition and anger among people. That's wait a minute, we're talking about you think that actor's better than the other actor. Stop it. Stop. Don't compare it. Okay? That one was your favorite. Use the word favorite. If it's a popularity contest, then there you go. The best man clearly doesn't always win president. Clearly doesn't always win president, right? But they're the most popular. That's why they're president. See the difference?
Yep.
You can be inept and have no talent, but you were popular. Remember, P.T. Barnum says, no one ever lost money underestimating the intelligence of the public. He also said, there's a sucker born every minute. So he knew he knew the mentality of people that bought product, particularly his products, because his products were, Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey Circus. His product was a circus. And the sideshow, where he made a lot of money on the sideshow act, right? But that's a different world, right?
Absolutely. Yep, 100%. All right, everyone. We will be right back after this quick break.
Life can knock you down. People may doubt you, betray you, or make you feel like your voice doesn't matter. But your story has power. Your pain can become purpose. And no matter what you've been through, you are not alone. This is Standing Strong with Waylon. Real stories, real people, real strength. A place where voices are heard, hope is found, and together we rise stronger. Because no matter the struggle, we're all standing strong. Now back to your host, Waylon.
Wow. John, you have been inspiring so far. How do you like being on my podcast?
I very much like to chat with friends about the things we both love. And that's film, that's theater, that's entertainment, right? And that's the most fun. That's how we happen to meet at that drive-in when we were doing the screening, right? We shared something that we love. That automatically created a bond between us. And that's a beautiful thing that does exist between actors, working actors, and their fans. Whether they're fans, friends, followers, or just folks, one of those four F's. It's important. It matters to you.
100%. I agree. Now, you have achieved incredible success in your career. What failures or setbacks taught you the biggest lessons?
Well, one is definitely check the ego at the door. You know what I mean? Because sometimes if you go into a job and you're a little bit too cocky, they don't like that. But all you're doing is you're kind of being blustery. You're trying to man up. You know what I mean? So what eventually has to come out of that is you have to be comfortable in your own skin. You really have to be comfortable in your own skin, and you got to forget about regrets because they're not going to fix anything. You'd be surprised that when you go for an audition, when it's a live audition and you're in a studio, you would do the audition and you'd feel good or feel nothing or wonder why you don't feel something, whatever it is. You did the best you can. You go back, get in your car and you're driving home. And as you're driving home, you're turning the rear view mirror around to where you can see yourself in it. And you're performing the same audition again to your rear view mirror driving home. What the hell is that about?
Right.
Well, we do it. Because we got our hooks in this character and we just can't seem to let it go. And whether we're trying to quietly, send some vibe to the universe that maybe they pick up that, oh, he's the guy we need. I don't know why we do it. I guess it's because it gets ingrained in us. And it isn't easy to just wipe off. You know what I mean? But that says a lot, doesn't it? It says a lot about once you start to work on a character, you possess that character. You don't want to give that character away. And so it becomes personal. And it should be personal. It should always be personal. A lot of actors think they have to change for every role they're doing. And in reality, 90% at least of everything you are is going to be that character. With the exception of that 10% that is a psycho or something completely different than you. But your sense of life, your persona, your outlooks, all those things you bring to bear. So don't take yourself to the role, bring the role to you. Be the best possible you.
Yep,
And
I
you'll be
agree.
fine. And then also sometimes I'll go for an audition and they'll want me to do a certain role or do it a certain way. And I realize, I know this is what they wrote, but this isn't what I do. I know 100 guys out there that can do it better than me. So I say to myself, if I were to play this character, how would I play it? And that's what I'll do for my audition. And you'd be surprised how often I get cast because I'm thinking about sidestepping the trap of predictability.
Mm-hmm.
If you know it's going to be an argument scene and you go into the audition and you begin talking your dialogue and you start angry, where are you going to go from there? You have to have a build. You have to build up to it. You need what is referred to as precipitation or foreshadowing before the moment. So when it starts to build and we see things happen to him within the scene that hit him and it makes the character rise more emotional as it goes along, that's an honest arc. We refer to it as an emotional arc for a character, building an arc. And it's not unlike any storytelling, right?
Uh-huh. So now, John, looking back on your career, what has been one of the most memorable moments you have experienced on set?
Boy, that's a great question. I'll tell you what's personally one of the greatest moments is, I've taught for almost as long as I've been acting. I've been teaching acting for film. And 50 years ago this year, I opened the very first on-camera acting studio called the Actors Gymnasium, right? And I've been teaching it ever since, and I love it. And I go all over the world and teach. I'll go to the Paris Film Academy. I'll go to Lagos, Nigeria, to teach the Nollywood actors, or I'll go to Mumbai, India, to teach the Bollywood actors. And I love it. I love the teaching. Well, 10 years ago, I gathered my students internationally. I've got about 3,000 of them. And I gathered my students throughout Europe and said, I want to come there and make a film. And I want to make a film with all of my students. Well, the thing is, so many of my students were back home now after they're getting their bachelor's degree or master's degree, and they're back in Helsinki, Finland, or they're in Oslo, Norway, and there is no film industry. There's no entertainment industry. They wind up falling back and doing theater or something, but it really leaves them with an empty hole inside because they want to be where the action is.
Yeah.
So I decided I would go around the world, visit my students, do interviews with them, and talk about their lives. And then I realized, wait a minute, they don't want to talk about their lives because they'll be apologizing for the lives they're not living. Right. So what I need to do is get them back into the acting. So I created a script where I went to 7 different European countries. And one of my students was missing. And it's true, Marita was missing. She didn't make it for her graduation. The night before her graduation, she just disappeared. Wow. Well, I started talking to other students, and they started telling me things about her that I never heard. And I'm saying, this is like a murder mystery. I'm hearing all these clues at the scene of a crime. I've now got to stop making this movie and find her. So that became the movie.
Wow.
Where Is She Now is the title of it, right? And so all of these actors, over 50 of my student actors, were all in it. But they were playing themselves under, of course, imaginary circumstances. Yeah. And so it wound up being a huge hit at film festivals all over the world. We toured it all over the world, and they got a chance to go and watch it, and they got a chance to understand that they have the power to create their own product. They don't have to be just an employee of someone else's job, someone else's product. They can make their own. Mm-hmm. And so now they're all out there making independent film. This was before streaming. Now everybody's streaming, and it's the brave new world. So now, if you want to be a filmmaker or if you want to be an actor, find a filmmaker that wants to be a filmmaker and start partnering up, just like Martin Scorsese did with De Niro. Mm-hmm. They were pals, neighborhood New York buddies, Tribeca era, and they grew up together. But they became major forces in the industry. You can do that out there, folks. You can do that if that's what you choose to do. You don't have to
Absolutely.
wait for the phone to ring. You have to
Agreed.
create product. You have to create product more than ever now. You know, I'm doing these vertical shows. Vertical is a new thing right now. About the only thing that's being shot in Hollywood is vertical entertainment, and 99% of the people you talk to have never even heard of what verticals are.
Yep.
You know, it's a new technology. I mean, do you ever watch movies? Do you ever watch movies on your phone?
Yeah, I do all the time.
Watching TV shows and all that stuff?
Yep. Netflix and that. Yep.
I was in Taiwan 4 years ago doing that Mom Don't Do That for Netflix. And in Taiwan, everybody in Taiwan had their phones all the time. They're looking at their phones. They're laughing and watching stuff. I thought it was some big soccer game or something. Until I looked closer, I said, oh, these are soap operas. These are like bad Chinese soap operas, you know? And I'm thinking, oh, this is going to come to America. This is going to come to America soon, and it's going to be huge. Well, 4 years passed by before it came to America, but it's here, and it's bigger than ever. Bigger than ever. Who knew? Remember, technology will always dictate art. Always has, always will.
Yep, 100%.
I mean, you can go back to Da Vinci, and you can comparing notes with Michelangelo. What brush is actually using? It's beaver. I have the new badger hair. What's badger hair like? I have to see what that's like to paint with. New technology.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Now, what advice would you give upcoming actors who dream of building a long and successful career like yours?
You must be willing to immerse yourself in every possible avenue you can to learn from. You must watch movies and study them. You must take acting lessons. You must learn all the crafts. I don't care if you want to do Meisner or Stanislavski or Strasberg or Stella Adler. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which you use, because it's all Stanislavski's tree. In 1925, he created the idea of organic acting. Organic acting. Where everything that comes out of the moment is in the moment and real. So it never looks rehearsed. It never looks like it's memorized. It looks like it's just two people talking, right? And that has become the new style of acting. Not even new anymore, because it's been pretty much effective since Marlon Brando showed up in 1950. So 75 years it's been going on, right? But you got to learn your craft. You have to learn your craft. You have to learn as much as you can from directors if you want to be filmmakers, as you do from actors. And you must read books, autobiographies, every possible thing you can find to read or listen to, documentaries. Get on YouTube. It's all free. You can get a master's degree of education right there on the internet. But you must be ambitious, and every day write down your goals. Say, today I'm going to do these 10 things, and do them. Don't miss. I only did 8. Okay, then tomorrow you're doing 12. Don't miss your opportunities. Keep working and stay disciplined. Right? You have to do that. You have to really immerse yourself in it, because it's highly competitive. And every time you're taking a day off or an hour off, someone else is moving a little further ahead. And you need to know that. And then you have to be very specific about what it is you want, and work backwards from what you want to where you are now and how to get there. Because the path you choose is everything. And if you choose the wrong path, then you wasted time. You can always get off the wrong path, get on the right path, but all that amount of energy you put on that path has wasted your energy and time that you could have been on the right path. So that's very, very important. Know your craft. And above everything else, have something to say. There's got to be a reason you're making this film. Not just because you like horror films. Who cares? What's the point? Every film has to have a point. And the great writer, director, actor Sam Shepard said, "A play doesn't count until the actor gets a hold of it." Well, what does that mean? What does that mean? Well, what it means is a script is a blueprint. A great novel does not necessarily mean this to be a great movie. A great script Doesn't mean it's going to be a great movie, because by the time it gets on its feet, we prove its worth in reality, and it read better than it plays. And that happens often, doesn't it? We see a lot of movies that fell short, right? Because of those reasons, right?
Yep.
So you have to safeguard against all that. So the more you know, the more you understand, and the more you get advice from people who know what they're talking about. Not just from your buddies who will you'd be sycophants. Oh, it's okay, you're doing a great job. Keep doing a great job, great job, great job. No, there's no such thing as great job. Don't use words like great. Don't use words like best. We're all here in the Gruntworks. It's a gymnasium.
Yep.
We're all in the gym together. We're all working out, right? And we may have our own tricks about how we want to get our biceps up, but you keep it to yourself. You know, once you learn your tricks, you're not going to want to share them because you finally learned them.
Mm-hmm.
You can't talk to any star, any great actor about their process because it's none of your business. They took years to build it. They're not going to share it. It's like saying, Colonel Sanders, what do you put in that special, 11 herbs and spices? I ain't going to tell you.
Uh-huh.
There's an old expression of, does Macy's tell Gimbel's? Well, those are the two big department stores in New York City, right? And you want to know, Macy's, how much did you pay for that? Well, I'm not going to tell you, and Gimbel's isn't going to tell you either, because the competitors are not going to ever tell the truth about what it cost. They can't.
Mm-hmm. Right. Grain of ice.
Well, a lot of young filmmakers, just to add one point to it, a lot of young filmmakers will come to a studio and say, hey, here you go. Here's this movie we made. We made it for $10,000. Nobody's going to be impressed with that. And all they're ever going to do is give you another $10,000 and make another movie for $10,000. You don't want to make $10,000 films. Don't tell anybody what it cost. Look at what other people are making. You know what yours cost. Tell them, if they say, how much did your movie cost? Before we buy this movie from you, kid, how much did this thing cost? You know what you answer? You answer, well, how much do you think it cost? And he'll tell you, looks like it's about $250,000. Pretty close. No, it cost me $1.50. But it's none of their business.
Right.
So don't brag about how you can make a cheap movie, because it only makes you sound like you're desperate.
Yep,
a lot of young
100%.
filmmakers use that as a strategy, thinking it'll be successful, and don't understand why they didn't get that call.
Yep, absolutely.
So where do you learn this stuff? There are no books about this. There are no books anywhere that you can learn. Okay, you can learn other things in the books, but you've got to keep your ear to the ground all the time. If you know some famous star is going to be on some talk show, watch that show. See if they bring anything of value about their craft.
Yep. I agree.
Be a sponge.
Yep.
You're a sponge, aren't you, Andy? You're fascinated by information, and it's an unquenchable thirst, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Well, that's a blessing.
Yep. Thank you.
Well, you know it already.
John, is there a project that has challenged you the most and has helped you grow as an actor or filmmaker?
Every project you do, you learn something. Ideally, you grow from that experience. But you do look for those really great roles that give you the bigger opportunity to learn more in a shorter period of time. And that's all. For me, that's always independent filmmaking. I just did one this last year called Hidden Creek and won a whole bunch of awards from film festivals. And it's about a modern-day rancher whose children really don't want to be ranchers anymore. They want to sell the property and let developers come in and put condos up instead. And the father's fighting against all this while he's at the offset of having dementia. So that was the most major challenge I think I've ever had, because you're lucid creating it, but you're creating a person who isn't lucid. And so to be able to intelligently look at it and stand outside the scene, even as you're doing it, to know when they ask for a second take, what you can do differently, or what did or didn't work the first time.
Right.
All these moments come to bear. But this was a wonderful opportunity, because you want to embody it, but you don't want to do all the cliches you've seen with people playing stuff like that, debilitation, all that. And to me, it was a wonderful eye opener for me to be able to do this, because it was The end of the film is meeting with the city council over the question of whether or not they allow this contractor to come in and take everything. And I stand up and I got a 7-minute monologue. That's a long monologue. And it's kind of like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Jimmy Stewart at the end of Mr. Smith. You know, it's a classic monologue. And I had to rise to it. And it was a lot of dialogue. And the older you get, the harder it is to memorize. You know, you learn the lines at night. I got it. You get up in the morning, you can't remember the first word of the first line. So you got to keep reinforcing. Like I can learn all my lines here in the living room, then I get in my car, I don't remember any of them. Because part of memorization is everything around you is creating a, if you will, a memory bank, right?
Yeah.
And so you're almost better off to do all your memorization in a room with white walls or someplace where that's my memorization room. You know.
Yeah.
To get you where you are, because it's tough. I use my ear prompter sometimes, and that's a great gift for actors. Pacino, De Niro, a lot of them use the ear prompter. And the way the ear prompter works, you just put your line on your, use your phone meme here, the voice meme. You lay all your lines out, you hand it to your assistant, and they push the button. You got a little flesh-colored ear plug in there, and you hear your own voice saying the line. And as you're hearing your voice saying the line, you're saying the line on camera. But you're changing it, you're morphing it, you're working a little bit. So it becomes kind of like playing jazz. You know, the rule of jazz is the first 64 bars you're playing as written, so the audience knows exactly the melody, where the verses are, where the chorus is. But now I'm gonna mix it up. Now it becomes jazz, right? And that's when it gets to be really fun. And so when you do the ear prompter, you free yourself up from trying to remember. So much of the acting that you see in soap operas and in these vertical shows is surface level. And there's an expression in acting called dropping in. I got to drop into this. Is that, okay, I'm still working on my lines, and so I'm still in the head. If I'm trying to remember my lines, I'm up here in the head. I'm not in my heart, which is emotion. I'm not in my gut, which is intuition. I'm not in my loins, which is animal instinct. Those are the 4 places you're going to go to, right?
Yeah.
I'm not in any of those places because I'm still trying to remember my lines. And so you realize you got to get to the point of where you don't think about the lines anymore. It took me maybe 50 years before I realized, wait a minute, nothing is ever about the lines.
Right.
Focus on what you're feeling in the moment. That's what it's about. You're feeling. Let the feelings become the lines. Now you're playing jazz. Now you're free, and you don't have to say it the way everybody else says it. You know, if 100 people were in front of us right now, and we were trying to find this one person to do this one line in the film, and they're going to get their Screen Actors Guild card if they get it, and the line is, "I hate you, David," everybody's going to say, "I hate you, David." Until somebody comes along and they take a moment and they go, "Well, I hate you, David." Okay, that's in the moment. That's in the moment. And it can be different every single time. But they make a mistake of rehearsing it like they're rehearsing a choreographed move in a dance. Acting isn't like that. Right? So don't worry about the lines. Don't think about all that stuff. What happens in soap operas is they play mood, but they don't play emotion.
Yeah.
And that's why it's never deep enough. It's never deep enough.
Now, John, if someone is watching this today who feels discouraged, overlooked, or uncertain about their future, what message would you like to leave them with so that they could continue standing strong and believing in themselves?
Okay. I can look at you in the eye and you can look at me in the eye. We both can ask the same question. Have you failed at something?
I've failed on many of things. Yep.
Yes. We've all failed. You've all failed. But Do the failures define you?
Nope.
No, they're just failures. They inform you. They inform you. You don't want to make the same mistake twice, even though you may, even though you will. Doesn't matter. No, don't let those things define you. Don't judge yourself based on how you screwed up that time. Forget it. We all screw up. Every day when you're talking to people, they misspeak. And God knows they mistype when you're looking at Facebook. I mean, people that don't even know how to do complete sentences, misspelling all over the place, even when they have auto spell check. They don't bother with it. Nobody cares, Yeah. You got to remember you just got knocked down. That's all. That's all. And when you get up, you're going to get stronger than before. If you break your wrist, are you aware of the fact that after it heals back stronger than before? Well, there you go. Focus on the healing, not on the blame. Not going to get you anywhere. Only focus on things that are moving forward with positivity. If you screw up, good. It clears your head out. Okay. Focus, John, focus. You weren't there. You weren't in it. You weren't there. You weren't totally there. You settled for less. You thought you were there, but you weren't. Okay? Just be in the moment. Be honest with it. And you'll be fine. We all screw up. Hey, listen, I'm going to go to Japan for 3 months to make a new TV series over there, right? Starting in September. And then we break for Christmas. Then I go back for January and February for 2 more months. So almost 6 months doing this long historical series in Japan, right? And I sent my original audition to them, a video, and they said, okay, we want to have a Zoom meeting with the director and the producers. It's okay, they must like me if already they're bringing the director to me, right? So I come in and I start to do the audition, and there are leaf blowers and the neighbors are screaming with the kids next door, and I'm distracted. I'm not grounded enough. And by the time it was over and they left, I said, okay, John, you didn't earn that one. You didn't earn that one. It's not yours. It's not yours. Next time, you know better. Because we don't get enough live auditions. You know what I mean? It's been a year since I've had one of those. They're always here in this living room, So I'm kicking myself. And damned if 2 weeks later, she didn't call me and said, we want you to do it. You never know. You never know. You never will know how good you did. So don't beat yourself up. You got to remember there's a child inside you when you're an artist. And you have to be kind to the child. Because he's never going to grow up. He's always going to be a baby or a little boy. Not a baby. He's always going to be a little boy. Sweet little boy. An innocent person. And you need to take care of him. You need to recognize how sensitive it all is. And I love everybody that wants to be an actor because it's a brave choice. And chances are their family's not all in. Maybe the girlfriend or the boyfriend isn't all in. Their buddies aren't all in. But you're all in because you're following your heart because you need to. There's this great old adage that says, when does a boy become a man? And the answer is, a boy becomes a man when a man is needed. And I think that's what it's all about. We have the fears, we have the doubts, we have our self-persecution and all that. Live with that. That doesn't define you. It's good that you do your checks and balances. It's good that you keep your ego healthy and on a shelf when you need it. Just have faith in yourself. If you truly have faith in yourself, others will have faith in you as well because they see your tone of conviction in your eyes and your very voice.
Absolutely. I hope someone was inspired by that.
Well, we help one at a time. One person, you help him. Somebody else, you help him. One at a time. That's all we can do. That's all we can do.
Absolutely. Kind of like my podcast.
Yeah.
Kind of like my podcast,
Yeah, exactly. All 82 episodes.
Yeah. I might struggle. I might make mistake and stuff. But even if one person watches my podcast, that's all that matters. At least one person watched it.
Yeah. And you're blessed. You're blessed because we have the technology that allows your programs to last long after we're both gone, pal.
Yep, absolutely.
It's a pretty good thing. trust yourself, trust your instincts, and don't hold back. Don't hold back. Don't hold back. Be willing to look silly. Be willing to be bad. Be bold. Be brave, and you'll get through. You'll get. You can be a timid person in real life. A lot of the great actors are, right? They don't want to in public. They don't. They kind of mumble. And I've met a bunch of them, and I can tell you stories about that. But be who you are. Be comfortable in your own skin. Don't try to change yourself. Don't try to make yourself over to become a better person because that's what you think you have to be. Live with yourself. You're worthy. You're worthy. You're worthy. Trust that. Trust that. We want to see you. We want to see who you are, the real you. We don't want to see you do a great impression of somebody else.
Right. It's always nice to see people and how they can make themselves become known instead of copying someone.
Yeah. And I will say that generosity is a key to success.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying be generous so you'll be more successful. I'm just saying that you'll find that oftentimes if someone compliments me, I'm going to think about somebody else in the cast. Well, you should have watched what she did because the more you pass it on, they already said you were great. Thank you. Now let's talk about someone else. The more you pass it on, the better it is, the healthier you are, and the better you'll feel about yourself. Mm-hmm. That's a healthy ego. You're confident enough that you don't have to spend your 1 minute or however long or 1 hour just talking about yourself and talk about other things.
Yep. All right, everyone. At this time, we're going to take a small break. And when we return, John has an opportunity to ask me some questions.
Ooh.
You've heard the guests tell their stories, but now the spotlight shifts. Waylon stepping into the hot seat as the guest takes over and asks the questions. Real answers, real moments, no filters. Let's do this.
All right, John.
All right. Mr. Myers.
Yeah.
So you've done 82 of these episodes. What made you inspired enough to even start this? Where did that come from?
Well, back in high school, I was bullied all my life. Mm-hmm. I wanted to commit suicide, but thankfully I did not. Mm-hmm. I took time off out of school just to clear my head. I took like a couple of days off, and then we went to Christmas vacation. Right. So I decided, I'm like, what's gonna make me happy to avoid all the negativity coming towards me? So I created Team Lillian, which was a fan page on Twitter and Instagram back in 2010, supporting Lillian Garcia from the WWE. She was the ring announcer for so many years. So I created that, got noticed by her, got to meet her. I've been doing this for 16 years, working and doing stuff for Lillian Garcia. And back in 2020, I was like, what can I do? So COVID came, the work got shut down. I took time off work, and I was like, Lillian Garcia did a podcast in 2016, and then she did a #1 called Chasing Goalie. And when I watched and you had used me to do some of her graphics design thumbnails for social media for her podcast. So I loved doing that for her. And then I was listening to her episodes, and I'm like, that's something I want to do. I want to help people's story, not just because of their career, but I want to learn about people's life growing up, whether they was bullied, the struggles, the difficulties people have went through. And I'm like, I want to do that. So I was inspired by Lillian Garcia's podcast that I wanted to do a podcast as my own, but I didn't want to just create a podcast to like copy someone, because
Mhm.
I'm not, I don't want to copy someone out there and stuff. So I took a little bit of thinking and I'm like, you know what can I do? So I created my first podcast back in 2020. I only did 10 episodes. It was called Will Talk with Waylon, where I interviewed YouTube creators who does content creators. So I
Yeah.
did that. I'm like, no, no. I'm like, that's not setting well for me. It's not really
Mm.
letting people know who I am. So I
Yeah.
took a break, and then July of 2021, Standing Strong came in my mind. And I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, standing strong. Because I've been bawling.
Yeah.
I have a speech impediment. I was belittled all my life. And I'm like, if I can share my story and then bring people onto this program to also share their story and just put out positivity and letting people know they are not alone. That's exactly what I wanted to do. And I discouraged myself. I had up and down moments, and I'm like, I was nervous because I'm like, is anyone even gonna watch this? Is it even gonna make sense? And I'm like, I was just having so much thoughts in my head, and it was like 7 episodes in, I was gonna give up and quit because I just felt that it was gonna mean anything to anyone. And then
Mhm.
I talked to Lillian, and she said to me, she said, Waylon, you do not have to do an episode every week. You do not have to feel a pressure that you have to do an episode every single week because you
Yeah.
don't. You have
Yeah.
to be yourself and trust that it's enough. And I went with that and I'm like, you know what? True. So I've gone on and I'm like, you know what? What can I do to make my podcast better than ever? And I'm
Mhm.
like, you know what? I'm gonna start asking, messaging people on Instagram, actors and stuff. Yes, they might get 1,000 of messages every day, and I'm like, well, I don't think anyone's gonna reply to me or accept to be on my podcast. I'm like, but I did it, and I'm like, holy cow! The amount of actors, actress, fitness expert, family and friends and teachers that I have interviewed, and then Lillian Garcia, who I looked up to, who I was inspired by to do this podcast. She was my 50th guest on my
Oh.
podcast, and I'm like
Yeah.
82 episodes now. Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. With
yep,
no ending in sight, I assume.
yep. I'm gonna continue doing this
Yeah.
as long as I can. So,
Yeah. So you're very comfortable in this niche, aren't you?
yep.
Well, you make others comfortable as well, and that's
Thank you.
important. You know, we're in your home here, but you really make it feel like it is a home and not just a program.
Uh huh.
And I do appreciate that. So you sort of got into this because you wanted to make some kind of a contribution, didn't you?
Yep. 100%. Because I wanted people who was bully, people who feel like they're worthless, people
Yeah.
who wants to just end their life to
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
that hey, you have a support system.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yep,
the majority of any audience is underdogs, and I think that's a beautiful thing. A beautiful thing
thanks.
to relax people's defenses enough to want to share what's inside, but they're afraid to open up about.
Hmm.
And the fact that you've taken some hits in your own life and you're standing strong gives them the courage to move forward with you.
Yep.
That is the contribution. I would not be able to do what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
When I was younger, I would quite possibly. You know? But it's important that I think it's important that you two are on your journey along with them.
Yep.
And that ideally, when they tell a story, there's some wisdom that you may glean from that, but you have your own story to share with them as well.
Yep.
And that's a gift. That's a great gift, and it's as personal as it can get.
Yep.
You know.
I agree.
Where do you see yourself in? I don't know if you projected forward or not that much in the future, but where do you see yourself in? Oh, let's say another 5 years, and then in 10 years.
What I would like to see in probably 5 to 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to, if I'm still doing podcasts, if I'm still doing Standing Strong, I would love to one day open up a studio where I can invite guests to come face to face with me instead of over the internet.
Yeah.
That way that we can have a real feeling face to face. And
yeah.
Yep.
Well, you know, that comes with sponsorship, and that could very well happen sooner than you realize. Are
Yep.
you right now? You fund all this yourself, don't you? You're running this on your own dime.
Yes, I'm running it on my own. I pay to do the setups and stuff, but I don't make money of any of my episodes. Because one day that will be nice, but right now I'm like it's not my main focus to make money off of my episodes. I just want to do it to spread positivity in. But I do fund everything to put it out onto YouTube.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Wonderful that you're doing that. We need it.
Yep.
We need it, you know, and it's more than just talking glam about Hollywood. It's getting to the deeper stuff, which is more important, you know.
Yep.
You know, for my particular career, it being as an acting, there's a mystery. There's a great mystique to what we do as artists. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
The audience doesn't even really understand what we do. But you're sort of in the same position, and you can impart some wisdom to them as well based on your experiences, I feel.
Yep, 100%.
Now, did you have any interviews that completely changed what you thought it was going to be?
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of inspiring episodes that I have had on, and what they showed was like mind blowing. I was not expecting what we was discussing, and it was like, wow. It's like it was mind blown, and I'm like, this is a good episode. And I'm like, every time I come on, I'm like, I don't know what to expect. I'm like, every day I come on and I do it, I'm like, how many mistakes am I gonna make? How many mistakes gonna happen that the guest is gonna look at me like I'm crazy? And I'm like, don't focus on that. Just do it, and it will go the way it's gonna go, and you just have to be happy with it. But
Absolutely.
I have had a lot of episodes that I'm like, wow. So yep.
No, I can understand how you feel about that. You know, but you always rise above. I take it. Did any were any of the interviews more difficult than others?
Some of them was difficult and some of them was easy, because when I had certain actors on, I always had difficult times pronouncing their names.
Oh.
So yeah, but I'm like, I try my best. I'm like, my speech impediment and my tongue only allows me to do so much with pronouncing names. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, and I'm like, I'm trying my best. That's all that matters, and they're nice about it.
Well, you have very good clarity. I understood everything you say.
Thank you.
You're very. Now, one of the things that I want to commend you on also is that you use a very conversational tone to your approach to this. And that makes your guests feel at ease and more willing to and more desiring to open up to you.
Yeah.
That's I think your great gift. You're not confrontational. You're not you're not investigative journalism. Right?
Mhm.
You're here to befriend your guests and be a good host, and that means treat them like they are a guest in your home.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think that's going to allow people to be disarmed quicker. The way that you are handling this. If you were suddenly on a polished set, with makeup and all that, and a theme song, then you're going to run into trouble. People are going to be thinking about all those people out there watching them, and they hope they don't screw up.
Yep.
And to disarm them, even if you do blub, you flub a line, you say something, you misspeak, oh, I'm sorry, what I meant to say was, then they say, oh, good, I do that all the time. Now I can relax.
Uh-huh.
So you can lead by example in that regard, I think.
Yep. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Have you ever wanted to be a performer yourself?
I never really went into it, but when I was a kid, I always wanted. I never wrestled or anything. I didn't care to wrestle or anything, but I always dream about becoming a WWE ring announcer. I wanted to follow in the steps of Howard Finkel and Lillian Garcia. I wanted to be someone who did the following contest is scheduled for 1 fall. And I didn't. I still do it from this day. And I'm like, but I never really pushed for that because of my speech impediment. But I'm like, after working at Walmart for 13 years and all that, and then with what happened to me, and that's why I have to take time off of doing my podcast because I am currently dealing with feet issues. I was like, what can I do? I'm like, I don't want to be like a Melly or a Billy or just, I'm like, even if I don't make money off of my podcast, at least I know that this is my passion and what I want to do. Spread kindness into this world. So.
Well, there's this expression in Hollywood that you have to be willing to give up your firstborn child in order to get your second one. They're talking about your first efforts, your first film, for instance. Don't expect to make a lot of money on your first film, but use that as a stepping stone to get to your next film. Well, that's basically what you're doing right now. And whatever you choose to do in the way of evolving this into a second form or a hybrid, it's like branches on a tree. You can go wherever you want with it at this point. You've created the foundation now.
Yeah.
So as times go, you may decide, well, I'm going to try this now. I'm going to do that. So I'm going to start doing live ones. We're going to meet on location. I'm going to, get a sponsor and budget myself that I can literally go to them or bring them to me. And you can carry these interviews onto multiple locations. It would be wonderful for you to be able to get a hold of actors, for instance, offset while they're shooting in the background, and open up all that production value and atmosphere later as you go. Possibly, if that's what you decide you want to keep doing.
But I don't want to be famous. I'm like, I just want to be in my own world of like no pressure coming your way.
Yeah,
and
I get that.
Yeah, and I'm like. Famous, yes, everybody dreams to be famous, have so much money and that. But to me, that doesn't really matter because if you think about it, everyone that does what they do in their life, it's amazing. They work so hard for it. But to me, we are all famous. We all have a life. We all breathe the same air. We all are created by God. So we are all famous, no matter how people looks at that. And one day I had a actor asked me a question not long ago on my podcast when he said, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" He said, "I predict that you're gonna be on TV," and I'm like, that'd be nice, but I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't know if I want to put Standing Strong on TV and do a live.
Well,
I'm like, that
yeah.
would be nervousness. So,
Well, I'm with you on that. You know, it's hard to have a private life when you're a public servant, a public service,
hmm
a public a public image.
hmm
It is awfully hard, and you got to be willing to give that up. And a lot of stars don't own that until they're in the position to realize, oh, here it is now, honey, we can't get out of the car now because people are going to. We can't walk to this venue because people are going to stop us on the street. We have to drive to it. You know,
uh-huh.
all the things you feel like you have to do because of that. It's really a tough part of it. And I don't see you doing that either. But the idea of not caring about fame, but only wanting to have a voice, that's pretty healthy.
hmm
You know, that's pretty healthy because it means you don't have to make compromises in the wrong way, in the wrong direction.
Yep. Yep.
Certainly, as you come up the ladder, you're going to have more people that have input, and more people are going to want certain things that will make it worthwhile for them to, support your career. And so
Yep.
you got to be a good negotiator that way. But at the end of the day, if you can shut it down, go back to your life, go back home, and feel that you've had a productive day, feel good about your work and your time in, then that's the most important thing. I feel that's great success in itself. I've never wanted fame. I never wanted the loss of privacy. I never wanted to feel I had to protect my kids when they go to school because people are going to say, "I saw your dad last night," that kind of stuff. It's like, it's
Yeah.
so hard. And everybody gets it. We see it all the time on social media, how they're victimized to it. So I think you can be in the industry and do well and not have to be haunted by people.
Yep. 100%. Like,
Yeah.
like I said in the past, I would love to have like big actors from Hollywood,
Mhm.
some professional wrestler. I would even love to have Doorman on
Yeah.
my podcast.
Yeah.
But I know it might be hard because of how they are in Hollywood and stuff and all the policies they have to go
Mm.
through and stuff. But
Yeah.
my thing is, I don't want to have them on my podcast because I'm a fan or I want to talk about their career or because they make money. No, I
Yeah.
want to have them on my podcast to just know them as a person so that we can positivity and changing other people's lives who feel like they are not needed in this world, and they do because they do have a purpose,
Mm.
and that's what I want to do. I would love to have them on my podcast. I know they don't know me and I don't know them, but I get the safe platform to do that. I don't care if you're famous, make more money, tons of money. I don't care
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna talk about that stuff. I just want to talk about the stuff that you have struggled from when you was born, growing up, to
Yeah.
all of it that lead you to where you are today. That's all I want to do. And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's difficult to explain it to them, but I'm like, I'm not gonna give up. One day it may happen. Who knows, So
Yeah.
even though I might not have big names on my podcast today, never know what the future's gonna hold.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, you'll also find that when actors go on to locations, if they're shooting in other cities or other areas of the country, wherever in the world, the locals will interview them for local television, and they're wide open to it because they do have enough downtime. We can throw an hour here, a half an hour there, and do interviews because it's for their own good, for their own livelihood. We have to create content at all times. You're creating content for me, but at the same time, your content is mine. So we have that exchange. So there's a benefit for anybody, regardless of the size of their stardom, to come to you or have you come to them and do an interview. because once again, they say, "Oh, here we are." You know, where are you? Chicago?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
Okay, Pennsylvania. Where in Pennsylvania?
I'm Oil City in Venango County. I'm
Okay.
like 2 hours from Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, you're west of Pittsburgh, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay? Yeah. Okay. Well, you know, they're doing a lot of filming back there always. You know, Pennsylvania's a beautiful state to film in. And so I bet you're going to get your chance if you keep your ear to the ground and if you check the local film commissions, right, in all of those cities, and say anything shooting in my area, and everybody, oh yeah, well yeah, Paramount's bringing this TV series and they're going to be here on these dates. Great. Now you contact them, and then you'll find that you can probably be the kind of almost the man on the street for them.
Yeah.
You know, take your interview to them, which would be fun, wouldn't it? Yeah. Well, I wish you all the best of luck, and I think you got a great attitude. And you talk about the speech impediment. I wouldn't worry about it because you have really strong clarity and enunciation. I understand everything you say.
Thank you. I know the last few years I've been working really hard on it because
there are actors. There are actors that have these quote impediments that basically I think of them as vocal characteristics that they're known for. You know what I mean? They find a niche for that as well. So that's kind of refreshing.
Thanks. Yep.
Yeah. What do they say about 100%. You got to take the lemon? You got to take the lemons and make lemonade.
Right.
Right.
Yep, that's a good saying.
Yeah, and it does fit. It does. Yeah. So you are following your heart. You're living your best dream and all that. Any regrets?
My only regret is I wish I would have tried harder back in my high school career to not let the drama, the negativity, the bully pull me down to the point where I didn't feel my life was not important. Because if I wouldn't have paid attention to them, I probably won't be here today. So I wish I would have avoided it. Yep. I wish I would have avoided it, and maybe I would have done this back in my high school career. But I thank the bullies because if it was for them, it won't have gave me the confidence to do this today.
True. Well, I wish you a good long life doing it, and I hope we get to do it again sometime. If we do, the time to do that would be when I am on a set.
Right.
Because, in a 12-hour shooting day, we only get about an hour in front of the camera. The actors spend an awful long time waiting for the lighting to be done, And to be able to have me sitting here chatting with you and there's film going on in the background, the lights and the cameras and all that would be kind of fun for your audience as well. So maybe when I go to Japan.
Yep. Who knows?
Who knows what that will be, that experience will be.
Is there any last message you would like to say to anyone watching right now?
Well, the only other thing is try to avoid doing lateral moves. Always try to keep taking steps forward. Even if you're standing still for a moment, it's better to stand still than make a misstep. So just trust yourself. Trust yourself and trust what you want. And if you have doubts, examine them. Because you need to find out whether those doubts are necessary or they're just my own insecurity talking out loud. Because you didn't have doubts when you said you wanted to do it. That's what you got. That's the voice you got to hear. That's the voice you got to listen to. We all have what is known as a yada yada voice. A little guy sitting on our shoulder saying, "You suck. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Is that the best you can do?" It's your own voice of doubt. And you got to get rid of that guy.
Yep.
And push through. The only way you can get rid of it is push through because he's not moving. You are. So if you keep moving, he's going to fall off your shoulder, and you're not going to hear from him again, hopefully. I don't hear from that yada guy as much as I used to.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Agree.
Trust your inner voice. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. It's always good to have a mantra. It's good to have a specific goal in mind, if you can, because that just sort of gives you a compass, but you'll find yours. You'll find yours.
Yep.
It's not unlike the premises for a film when Sam Shepard says a play doesn't count until the actor gets a hold of it. You also got to understand what it is that the writer's trying to say. You got to analyze what is the point of this film? Oh, it's man's inhumanity to man. No, that's a theme. It's not a point. A point is behind every great fortune, there's a great crime. He who laughs last laughs loudest. What goes around comes around. There's so many of these adages that we've grown up with that are themes to movies, right?
Yep.
So many of these we know and we're familiar with. So think about your own mantra. Think what it is that you want to say. If it's that I want to leave something behind to be remembered by.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that can be any number of things, right? I want to be remembered. I want to feel that I've made a contribution to somebody. Okay, there you go. That's you can cast a wide net for that, right? But at least it keeps you on target as to what you're doing and why you're doing it. Because we can get lost in the struggle. And it's important for us to keep that GPS,
100%. I agree.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. This wraps up episode 82. John, thank you so much for being my 82nd guest.
Well, bless your heart, Waylon. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yep. For all the 4 episodes, you can go to my YouTube at youtube.com/Waylon Myers. And coming soon, Everything Standing Strong will be on my official website at WaylonMyers.com. Until the next episode, I'll see you next time.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the latest episode of Standing Strong with Waylon, where stories are shared and voices are heard. We truly appreciate every listener, viewer, and supporter who continues to stand strong with us each and every episode. And now, a very special shout out to the incredible crew working behind the scenes to help bring this podcast to life. Intro voice is Matt Craig. Guest introducer, Steve Fox. Commercial commentator, Alicia Renee. Music composer, Austin Sire. Guest spotlight introducer, Jeremiah Barker. Outro voice is yours truly, Tyler Peters. Until next time, we'll see you on the Standing Strong podcast. Thank you for watching and keep standing strong.